geometry which give a definite shape to the body of an organism, and we can make the organisms into two equal halves from any plane because they have a geometrical type of organization in their body. So today another important aspect of the organism we are going to study, that is germinal layers. Okay, so germinal layers. So germinal layers, generally what are they? What is the importance of the germinal layers? So germinal layers are the layers which have ability to get differentiated. Okay, they have ability to get differentiated and give rise to further another type of cells and another type, and thereby to the tissues. This is about the germinal layers. Germinal layers are nothing but they are layer of cells which have ability to differentiate into another type of cells and thereby tissue and organ. So here what I said, they can be differentiated into another type of cells. Okay, and thereby they can also give rise to tissues and then organs. So those are called as germinal layers. Then are these germinal layers present in all the type of living organisms? No, they are not present in all the type of living organisms. Few of them have, almost the Animalia kingdom, except the sponges, remaining all the organisms have germinal layers. Actually, how many number of germinal layers will be there? So there will be 3 germinal layers are 3 layers. And what are they? They are ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Okay, so what are they? The 3 layers: ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. How they are placed in a living organism and when they are formed? Once a fertilization takes place, zygote will be formed, right? So that zygote will undergo cell division, and that one cell will give rise to many number of cells, right? So the many number of cells, they are group of cells. Now they will get differentiated into 2 layers in few organisms, and the 2 layers will be the ectoderm and endoderm. So primitive organisms will be having only 2 germinal layers. Later, higher organisms will be having 3 germinal layers. Means what? Primitively formed organisms, their group of cells will get differentiated into ectoderm and endoderm. Later, as evolution took place, one more layer have been evolved, and that is mesoderm. So the group of cells will get differentiated into ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. We will draw the diagram and we will try to understand. Okay. So first, suppose this is a zygote with a single cell. Okay. Now this will undergo cell division and many cells will be formed. Many cells are formed. Now among these cells will get arranged in 2 layers, and the 2 layers are the outermost layer. Okay, they will get differentiated into outermost layer, and then they will get one more layer will be formed, and that will be innermost layer of cells. So these cells are only, they are getting neatly arranged and getting differentiated into, this will be, now this is ectoderm. Outermost layer is called as ectoderm and innermost layer is called as endoderm. Okay, this type of organization we can see in the primitive organisms, and those are Cnidaria and Ctenophora. If you take the Animalia kingdom chart, how the five are arranged, one has been evolved from the other. So we have studied sponges were the primitive most organism, first formed organisms in Animalia kingdom. Then they have given rise to Cnidaria, Ctenophora, then the Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and Chordata. We have already written this chart in our books, right? So this is an order of evolution. So if you see, sponges are the first formed organisms and they have what type of organization? Cellular level type of organization. So they have cellular level of organization where they doesn't require further differentiation because cells itself will perform the function. But when it comes to Cnidarians, we have studied they have tissue level of organization, means cells has to get differentiated into another cells and those cells will form tissues and tissues will perform the function, right? So here that's why organisms that is Cnidaria and Ctenophora where cells will get differentiated into ectoderm, endoderm and these two layers of cells will transform into tissues and they will start to perform the function. Then another group of means other than Cnidarian and Ctenophora, remaining all the organisms will have another type of organization with mesoderm. So how it will be? It will be almost same but little differentiation will be there. So the differentiation is there will be this will be the ectoderm, okay. Then there will be formation of endoderm layer. So mesoderm layer and then the innermost layer, that is the endoderm. So now we'll name it, you will understand. So this will be ectoderm, okay. Then this will be mesoderm and the innermost one will be endoderm. Okay, so this is how the organization will be there, will be seen. So these organisms, this type of organization we can see in which organisms? Organisms like, example if you take Cnidaria, okay, and Ctenophora. Cnidaria and Ctenophora. Whereas here if you see the organisms, which organisms will have this type of organization means from Platyhelminthes to Chordata. They will be having this type of organization. So now we will, as here only two germinal layers are there and here three germinal layers are there, the organization is called different. If the animal is possessing, the organism is possessing only two germinal layers, that is Cnidaria and Ctenophora, in those organisms, organization is called diploblastic type of organization. What is that? What is the term called as? This type of organization with only two germinal layers is called as diploblastic organization. Okay, then this type of organization, what it is called as? Now this type of organization is called as triploblastic organization. Diploblastic type of organization. So this is called as diploblastic. Okay. Now this is called as triploblastic organization. So these are the two aspects we have to study related to the organism. So what did we study in organisms? Two types of organization will be there based on germinal layers. Germinal layers are nothing but layer of cells where they can differentiate and give rise to another type of cells. Okay, and those cells will give rise to tissues and thereby organs. How many germinal layers will be there? 3 germinal layers will be there. What are they? Ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Few organisms have only 2 germinal layers, few organisms have 3 germinal layers. If they are having 2 germinal layers, that organization is called what? Diploblastic type of organization. If they have 3 germinal layers, then it is called as triploblastic organization. Okay, then in which organisms we can see diploblastic organization? Cnidarians and ctenophores. And in which organisms we can see triploblastic organization? Platyhelminthes to chordata. 2, they are mentioning 2 means from Platyhelminthes till chordata. What all organisms are there? They possess this type of organization. Now we are going to study next another aspect of the living organism, that is coelom. Okay students, now we will study the next topic, that is coelom. So what is coelom? Coelom is nothing but body cavity. It is nothing but body cavity. Cavity means space. So body cavity means space inside the body of an organism is called as body cavity, or it can be called as coelom. So what is body cavity? It is space inside the body. That is called as coelom. Now, is coelom required for the body? Yes, coelom is very much required for the body because there are some organs in the organism that they require movement. So organisms organs require movement. So for that sake, they need space around them. So space is required in the organism in between the organs. For example, you take lungs. Lungs will expand and then they will relax. So expansion, when they are expanding, they require enough space for them to expand. Means movement is there in the organ. That means they require the space in the body. Heart will be pumping. So pumping is nothing but it will enlarge and then goes back to its normal size. So for that expansion, they require space in the body. So easy movement will be there for the organs. For that sake, coelom is required in the body. Now, does all the organisms have coelom? No. Coelom is seen in the higher organisms. As the evolution took place, coelom has been developed, but not exactly in the first formed organisms will not have the coelom because it does not require. So organs are formed at which place, at which level of evolution organs are formed? Near the Platyhelminthes. So from Platyhelminthes we can see formation of the coelom. That means still Platyhelminthes, what all organisms are there? They does not have any coelom. Okay, so they include sponges, cnidarians, ctenophores. These all does not have any type of coelom. So once the organs are formed, then the coelom is required. So previous topic is also somewhere related to the coelom formation. How? Because coelom is nothing but a true body cavity. Coelom is nothing but true body cavity. Why it is called as true body cavity? That organs, inside the organs also we have some space. Now if you take stomach, right? So if you take stomach is having space. If you take kidneys, now kidneys are having space. space. This is not body cavity. Okay, this is not body cavity. Around the organs, if the space is there, that is called as body cavity. So here, true body cavity is nothing but space lined by mesoderm germinal layer. That space is called as coelom and it is a true body cavity. So here one more aspect also comes now. If the mesoderm is formed, then only the coelom can be formed, right? So the body cavity which is lined by the mesoderm, that type of body cavity is called as true body cavity, and that cavity can be called as coelom. Okay, so coelom is nothing but body cavity. Body cavity is nothing but space inside the body. Now, which type of body cavity? True body cavity. What is meant by true body cavity? If the body cavity or the space is lined by the mesoderm, then only it is called as a true body cavity, or it can be called as a coelom. Okay. Now, next we are going to study which type of organisms have what type of coelom. Means based on coelom, again we are going to differentiate the organisms. So we will see what are the different types of organisms based on coelom. Now, based on coelom, we can differentiate organisms into three types. The first type is acoelomates, or we can call, based on the coelom, we can call acoelom. Okay, based on body cavity also three types of coelom will be there, or three types of coelom we can differentiate, and based on organisms also we can differentiate into three types. So what are they? The first one we have studied is the acoelomates. Acoelomates, A means something is absent. So the organisms without, okay, so organisms without coelom are called acoelomates. The first point is which type of organisms are called as acoelomates? If the organism is without the coelom, without any body cavity in their body, that type of organisms are called as acoelomates. How does they look like? We will draw and we will see. So already we have studied previous topic that diploblastic organization, where they will be having ectoderm and they will be having endoderm. Okay, there is no mesoderm here. And what happens in between? Different layer of cells will be occupied. So there is no space. Body is rigidly arranged. Rigid means what? There is no space for the cells or for the tissues to have movement in them. And this type of organization is there in the Cnidarian ctenophores and sponges, where they does not require any type of coelom because they have only cells and tissues. When do we require coelom? For the movement of the organs. When our organs form, from platyhelminthes organs are formed. So this type will suit for these organisms. So even though they did not have coelom, okay, they could be able to survive because they does not require movement of the organs, because organs are not yet developed in this particular organism. So what are acoelomates? Organisms without coelom are called as acoelomates. Okay, and their body is the organs are arranged rigidly, or the body organization is rigid. So The next point we can write about acoelomates is body organization is rigid. Okay, so rigid in the sense they does not have any space even between the tissues. Okay, then next, in which type of organisms we can see them? So we can see them in sponges. Sponges also they are acoelomates. Cnidaria also acoelomate. Then the Ctenophora, and we can also include Platyhelminthes by Platyhelminthes. So mesoderm is formed for the first time in the Platyhelminthes, okay, but the organs formed in them are not in such a way that movement is required. So what happened? The space, even though they have mesoderm, space has not yet formed in this particular type of organisms. Even though organs were formed, the organs were in such a way that they did not require any movement in them. So that for that sake, the space was not developed in the Platyhelminthes. So acoelomates are the organisms without any body cavity. They had only cells, tissues, and newly formed very simple type of organs where the movement is not required for them. So the space was also absent in their body, and their body organization, how it was very rigid. Okay, and in which type of organisms we can see acoelom, or which type of organisms come under the acoelomates? Sponges, Cnidaria, Ctenophora, and Platyhelminthes. Okay, so this is one type. First type of organisms based on the seal. Okay, next we are going to study the second type. Okay, students. Now the second type of organisms we will see based on the coelom, that is pseudocoelomates. Okay, so pseudocoelomates are the organisms which have false coelom. Pseudo means false. Pseudo means what? False. So the organisms with false coelom, okay, are called as pseudocoelomates. We have studied that body cavity or coelom is a true type of body cavity. True body cavity is only called as coelom. When we will call it as a true body cavity? If the body cavity is lined with a mesodermal layer, then only we can call it as a true body cavity, and that is called as coelom. So here they are saying false coelom. That means what? They are having false coelom. That means the body cavity is not lined by the mesoderm. So such type of body cavity is called as pseudocoelom. Okay. So what happened here? Why is this called as pseudocoelomates, or why the body cavity is called as false coelom? Because body cavity is not lined by, okay, is not lined by mesoderm. So such type of body cavity is called as the pseudocoelom or false coelom. Okay, students, so body cavity is not lined by the mesoderm. So we will try to understand with drawing the diagram. So already we have studied that zygote formation will be there, where the zygote will undergo cell division, and they will increase in their number. Okay. Now the next step will be where the differentiation of the cells into layers will be formed. So there will be formation of outer layer, that is ectoderm, and then there will be formation of inner layer, that is called as endoderm. Okay, and we have studied that in acoelomates the remaining cells will completely occupy this particular cavity. Okay, now this cavity which is first formed is called as primary body cavity, which is also called as blastocoel. Okay, so this is a body cavity, primary body cavity, where first formed in the body, but it is not a coelom. Okay, it is called as blastocoel, or it is called as blastocoel. Now this cavity will be partially occupied by the mesoderm. Means what? Only they are lining towards the ectoderm. They are not lining towards the endoderm. What did we study about the true coelom? That if the space is covered by completely by the mesoderm, means if the space is either sides lined by the mesoderm, then only it is called as true coelom. But here what is happening? It is lined only towards the one side, body cavity is towards the another side, it is lined by the endoderm. So this is called as ectoderm, and this is called as endoderm. Okay, so that's why it is called as false coelom. Then here only I will explain you about the true coelom, then you will get an idea difference between false and true coelom. So what happens? These two steps will be same. Okay, next step will be the differentiation. So first, like how the ectoderm endoderm is formed, same way here also. First ectoderm is formed, then inner endoderm is formed, primary body cavity is formed, and mesoderm is lining both the ectoderm and endoderm. So these are the towards the ecto. Now there will be formation of mesoderm, lining of mesoderm towards the endoderm also. So in this way you can see coelom which is formed here now lined either sides by the mesoderm, but here it is not lined. One side is mesoderm, another side is endoderm. That's why that is called as false coelom and this is called as true coelom. So this true coelom is formed in the next level of organisms. Then this is seen in which type of organism? Only one type of organism, that is example nematoda. Nematoda will be having this type of organization, and this organization is having another name which is called as pseudocoelomates have tube within tube organization. When we look at this, one tube is within another tube appearance will be given. So that's why it is called as tube within tube organization, and that is seen only in the nematoda because false coelom is seen in the nematoda. So students, you got an idea about the false coelom and true coelom difference. But the true coelom formation also types will be there. So in the next class we are going to study about the true coelom, types of true coelom, and in which organism we can see